All right, guys, welcome to the next class on rotational motion, which is wrapping. Now, we've talked about this, the idea of ringing. We've actually talked about the idea of wrapping or ringing the torso, right? A lot. We've talked about that a lot. Well, we're going to talk about the idea of the wrapping and ringing of the limbs, in coordination with the torso, because the last two classes on turning and rotating did a lot with torso ringing, right? But now we're going to really focus on that wrapping that comes through the arms, the legs. It'll still be in the torso, definitely. You've already learned that before. But this wrapping idea is wrapping the fascia as you're turning to stimulate the muscles, right? The musculature and the fascia, to stimulate the joints and the sinew channels, right? This is really important for developing power in the ligaments and the sinews of the body. It helps to open and close the joints, right? The other thing about this is that if you have that wrapping aspect already in what you're doing, even if something is a straight line movement, inwardly it will have a circular or a circularity to the movement quality, where outwardly it might appear straight line, because the wrapping is that internal aspect that you oftentimes don't see if you don't know what you're looking for. So this is really, really important. This is something we see all the time as a problem with Bagua. Whenever I see somebody walk a circle like this, and their elbows are out and they're not hanging. The whole point of hanging is to create that wrapping like this. Oh no, this is large frame. Yeah, okay, whatever, bro. Like the idea of this is you need to have this wrapped. You have to have this in like this, And yes, there's a whole idea with the elbow drop of having that ability to push with the elbow out here. You don't have the power, but also the second thing is this is not wrapped. My tendons my muscles are straight. When I do this, you can see my muscles wrap around my arms, and that's an important thing.
Correctly, they have those arms.
They have those.
See
everything wraps and wraps and wraps like that, and that should also produce in the legs over time as well when you're practicing something like Bagua Jang, and even some extreme versions of Xingyi players and Tai Chi players. You can see that in. But you want that wrapping. That's what allows you to circle everything up inside. But it's not just the concept of etheric chi flow. It's a physical fascial sinew channel practice that you do. And so today we're going to go over a series of the exercises you already know from Shibafa that really focus on that, particularly focus on that in the arms a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, you really, really want to break these down in the sets that we give you, and repeat them and do the set like 4 or 5 times, 6 times.
That's an important thing.
To go over and over and over and just really pay attention to the wrapping concept of it, and try and enhance it. One thing before we get started into it, though, I really want to say is, like, with a lot of this wrapping where the hand is spiraling out like this, one of the things that's very, very hard to see on video, but where a lot of people go wrong, is when they actually start spiraling. If I come a little closer, when they actually start spiraling, their fist is like just flat, so it goes from here and the fingers open, and then they spiral out like this, but it's incomplete. So just remember, when you start this type of spiraling, you want to turn this way when you start, and you'll notice when you do that, you'll get the feeling going right up the arm and into the shoulders, and then from there you start pushing out and wrapping and spiraling out and extending and coming back the same way that you came and back in. So that's a big thing, and you'll notice the difference if you do it like this a few times and then do it like this, starting like this a few times. You'll notice a huge difference.
Because you need to wrap both ways, right? You have to practice this wrapping both ways. This is actually pretty much one of the major secret cruxes. When I say secret, I mean like one of the main points of the I Jing, the muscle tendon changing, is this wrapping and stretching. And so no matter what straight line moves you see, there's always a roundedness to them. And that all comes from the internal wrapping. So let's get into it.
So let's go through the set of drills that we want you to do, set of exercises that you want you to do. All right, so starting with 7, go in. Left, in. Out. Focus on that wrapping. In. Out. In. and out. Connect them together. Don't stop. In.
Wrap. Out.
In.
Wrap. Out.
In.
Wrap. Out.
In.
Wrap. Out.
Down. In.
Out.
In.
Out.
In.
Out.
In.
And out.
In.
Out.
In.
And out.
In.
Out.
In.
And out.
Left foot steps out. Left hand in.
Out.
In.
Out.
In.
Out.
In.
Out.
So that's the set that we want you to do, and in that workout we want you to repeat it non-stop again and again and again. So now you just go back through it again, back through it again, back through it again, back through it again. And I think this is best to do without breaks if you can, yeah. And just really, really focus on that point that I was talking about, like starting it so you spark, you know, so you're getting it both ways, getting the wrapping both ways, and you'll through those 4 sets of movements there, especially as far as the arms are concerned. You'll be able to find so many different aspects of wrapping that you can work on.
One of the important things too is, ironically enough, Tuina, even though we talk about the body, coming from the body, most of the application of Tuina techniques comes from anywhere from the elbow down to the fingers, right? So conditioning and getting these areas strong to apply that force is really important. But the other thing is, there's a series of points, sometimes referred to in English as the antique points in acupuncture. These are these series of very important points, sometimes called the waterway points. It starts with the Jing Well, the Ying Spring, the Shu Stream, the Jing River, the Husi, right? And within there you have your low points, you have your source points, and you have your Shi cleft points, right? And these points can be used to treat anything on the body. And they exist between the fingers and the toes and the knees. So that means that all that wrapping, you feel it especially between the elbow and the finger. Even though you can feel it above that, you'll feel it especially there. But you also feel it if you do it in the legs, between the knees and the toes. And that's stimulating those antique points to move qi throughout the body. And, you know, technically you could use those points to treat pretty much most things in the body without having to actually needle body points or high points, because they have that much ability, because they are a mirror of the either the moving to the exterior of qi in the sense of wei qi at the Jingwell points, or moving interior from the shu stream, right, into like the Jing River and the Hesi points. And so by twisting and getting those areas really strong, you actually tonify qi within the channels in those antique points, and thereby helping with bodily health internally with your zangfu, right? So make sure you're getting that twisting. You do see results with that. When you see people, why do you think when they lift weights and they start to notice that their muscles get a little bigger and they start to be a little more genki, a little more jenkang, right? A little more healthy? Because yes, they're making their body apply all these things and they're getting healthier, but also as they make the channels in their arms and their legs stronger, their torso gets stronger because it'll have a feedback mechanism. Not just because, okay, I'm applying this force and so my lungs are getting better and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, but it's a mutual thing. Your arms and your legs get stronger because the channels there relate to your torso and vice versa, you know? And so doing these wrapping methods help you isolate that within your arms, right? And there are techniques for within your legs too, but we want you to focus on your arms in this exercise, in this lesson. So keep that in mind, because for those, you see this a lot clinically. I don't want to go too much into this, but you see this a lot clinically in elderly people or people who are convalescing from being sick for very long. When you're needling them and you're needling their arms and they have very, very weak and thin arms that are very frail, you can't get much qi, and it takes a long time for them to get better. A lot of times it's good to have them do arm exercises, things that are wrapping, 100 a day, these different things. And next time they come back, you needle them, like, boom, you're getting the reactions, it's staying. Because there's a legitimate thing about not having enough qi in the actual channel, particularly those antique points, to get the organs to react. And so twisting and doing this I Jin Jing aspect assists in that. So keep that in mind as you practice these things.
All right, guys.
All right.
So yeah, this week, get on that set and do it as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, this is really, really important. It's going to help you to wrap in Bagua. It's going to help you to wrap in Xingyi or whatever you practice, Tai Chi. Apply this to those methods and give us your feedback.
All right, guys. See you next week.
All right.